Hey, welcome to the show with no name. Grant Cohn, Coach Noah Johnston, vet. Been here a long time.
The Rat Bastard Show.
The Rat Bastard Show. Man, I gotta capitalize. I gotta put that on a T-shirt and sell that. Rat Bastard. Okay. So the Niners have week 2 of OTAs now. No media availability today, but they will be practicing in front of the media tomorrow. And so thinking about their team, and one of the themes that came out of week 1 is sort of like new scheme on offense, maybe new run scheme, maybe more of a power run scheme. Hard to tell when they're playing 7-on-7, but it is something that I think we need to discuss because Mike McDaniel's gone. He was a big part of the architecture of the offense. Of course, Kyle Shanahan is too. But now Anthony Lynn replaces him, and Anthony Lynn has a lot of experience. He's been a run game coordinator as well. I think he'll have some creative input on this offense. What do you think of the 49ers potentially switching up their run game or evolving it?
Well, I think what you have to do to maybe predict what might happen is to look to the past. Look at what's happened in the past. What does Kyle like? What does the people that are involved normally like? I know Bobby Turner's not here, right? But he was here previously. He's been with the Shanahans the entire time. Both Mike and Kyle. His first year that he's not with them, and best believe Mike Shanahan is still involved in giving his input, and so I think when you look back, I think there's this notion that Kyle likes speedy backs. He likes slashers. When you look back, that's not the case. In fact, I went back and I looked at all the backs that Mike Shanahan and Kyle produced via Mike's time as a head coach and Kyle's time as offense coordinator in all the stints from the Broncos to the Commanders to the Browns, the Falcons, and the 49ers. The backs that you would consider are big backs produced about 25,000 rushing yards and 193 touchdowns. The backs I would consider slashers, the guys, speedy backs, lighter, had about 10,000 yards and 71 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And there's 12 of those backs, and there was 24 backs that I would consider the bigger, bruiser style backs. And I think when you're looking back, his preference is really to the bigger backs.
Yes. And I agree with that. And I think it's he just kind of fell into some small ones in Atlanta and had so much success. I think he tried to recreate it. But now, I mean, also maybe it's a Bobby Turner preference, but I think Anthony Lynn definitely likes bigger running backs. And I think we got to look at, you said looking into the past, we got to look at Anthony Lynn's past because, he was a interim head coach. He was an offensive coordinator in Buffalo in 2016. He did such a good job. He became a head coach for a while. That year, he had Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, and Mike Gillislee. They ranked number 1 in rushing yards and number 1 in rushing touchdowns. That's quite a thing to have on your resume. And I think what's interesting about that achievement is that type of run game looked way different than what the run game looked here last year. Like, for example, last year, the Niners ran the ball 332 times from under center and 167 times from the shotgun. In 2016, Buffalo, their splits were 128 times from under center and 365 times from the shotgun. And in the shotgun, they averaged 5.7 yards per carry and had 21 rushing touchdowns. So Anthony Lynn has a little bit of expertise in that quarterback, not driven, but quarterback involved shotgun run game, which is what the Niners are going to be doing a lot of with Trey Lance. And I think you're going to see a total flip whereas last year it was 2-1 under center to shotgun runs. I think you're going to see it flip back this way. And a lot of the shotgun runs are between the tackle type stuff. I don't know if you call it power. I mean, maybe it's inside zone, but it's still like between the tackles, not like the pitches to Elijah Mitchell as much.
Yeah, but I still think I still think you're going to see a lot of outside zone, and I still think it's going to be their bread and butter. There's a notion that you need the fast Raheem Mostert back to run outside zone, and that's just not.
Aaron Foster did it really well.
Right. Terrell Davis was a fullback in college.
Yeah. And Arian Foster legit ran a 4.7. He was hella slow, but he was really good.
I was looking at, so in this process, I'm looking back at a lot of those backs. They're all 4.6, 4.58. Even some of them are like 4.7. Like all of them are all like that. But you don't need to have the explosive. You got to be able to see the hole. You got to find the hole and then accelerate. It's really the acceleration. It's not the 40 time. It's the acceleration, because an explosive run is not 80 yards. An explosive run, depending on who, how you look at it, is like can be 15. Usually people turn them, I think, between 15 to 20 yards is an explosive run.
I agree with you. They're definitely going to keep the outside zone in their offense, and it's important because that's how they build their play action passing game off of that. They're explosive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pocket movement stuff. Still, though, I do have a feeling they're going to run the ball more than 300 times from the shotgun this year, which is going to be a total departure from what they did in the past. Because why wouldn't you do that with a mobile quarterback? I think he's supposed to. I mean, you want to do some under center, but there's going to be a lot of shotgun stuff because you really can't take advantage of the quarterback being a running threat from under center. You can take advantage of him as a play action threat, but as a runner, you want him in shotgun. And I think Anthony Lynn's shown he knows what the hell. He hasn't really had a quarterback like Tyrod Taylor since then. He had Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert and Jared Goff.
Yep.
Now he has a legit. I'm excited to see what the run game looks like because I feel like we've seen a little bit of it. We've seen the Niners run, a little bit with Trey Lance and some zone read and stuff, but I think it's going to be a new emphasis this year.
And you can run outside. You can run outside zone. You can still run outside zone with a QB option off of it. I mean, the quarterback would just have an inside. He would have an inside path.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you've seen. I think early on, the 49ers and Kyle loved this. Like he loved to go 5 wide and just run Lance up the middle.
Right. They could do stuff like that. I do think what you're going to see is a little bit less of Elijah Mitchell too, because if you look at his splits, he was way better from under center than from the gun, and his bread and butter play was the toss left right. He was really great on that toss. They're still going to do it, but not as much. And I think this shift to the shotgun could breathe life into Trace Sermon's career.
What you could also do to merge those two is you can, going back to Colin Kaepernick, because you can go pistol.
Ooh, that would be quite interesting to see the pistol back. I mean, they've done it some with Jimmy Garoppolo, but what's the point?
Yeah, you could run all. You would still have your QB run game in the pistol, and it would still allow you to you can run all your normal run game off of it.
Yeah, and you could do some play action. It wouldn't be quite as effective as the under center stuff, but it would still have you still turn your back, have the quarterback turn his back to the defense, which sells it. So yeah,
and
I think it's going to be just bigger, a much bigger run game. Which is crazy because they did a lot in the past. But there's going to be this 11 on. We're going to see the 11 on 11 Niners run game. It's going to be really interesting. And my point is that Anthony Lynn has shown he's like. I mean, I don't know if he's a master of it, but his last year doing it, he was first in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns, and this was not. He had LaShawn McCoy, 28-year-old LaShawn McCoy, Tyrod Taylor. See what he's got now. He's got JaMycal Hasty. All right. I once made a video. People say I'm negative. I once made a video of JaMycal Hasty, like early on in his career, calling him mini Marshawn Lynch. Got like 40,000 views. And then Tony Romo called him mini Marshawn Lynch on a broadcast, which really drives home that he does his research by watching my YouTube channel, which is smart. Tony Romo. Sorry.
Hey, shout out to Tony Romo.
Do you think the 49ers need at wide receiver was overstated this offseason?
I think, like, I remember in the offseason, everybody at the first, like, as soon as the offseason happened, we need to get this receiver. We need the first pick needs to be wide receiver, and people had like this long, Christian Watkins, long list of wide receivers that they wanted, and it's funny because I would remind people, like, Juwan Jennings just had a really good postseason, like. Really, he was really, really good. Made key plays in key moments. Caught everything that was thrown at him. And then it's funny. The first day of camp, he's one of the names that pops out of people's mouths as having a great camp, right? Yeah. So like, while they did draft Danny Gray, it's not like they used the first pick on him. I think people are kind of underselling Jennings. I think he's poised to have a very, very good year, and I think you can't forget his productivity in key moments last year.
I'm calling up his numbers right now from the playoffs. I got him at. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did he catch any touchdown passes in the playoffs? I don't think he did.
I thought he
got one week 17, but he had 6 catches, 43 yards. That's good for 5th best on the team. Elijah Mitchell had 7 catches. George Kittle had 7 catches. Ayuk had 9. Debo had 10. I think the Niners only had two receiving touchdowns in the playoffs. Is that right? Javon Jennings and Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell took Juszczyk's touches. Juszczyk had 2 catches in the playoffs.
Because the quarterback in the playoff was lighting it up, right? Like he was
so good.
He was winging it.
He was just winging it around. No, Javon Jennings definitely 6 catches. Kittle had 7. I mean, there you go. He didn't have as many yards, but he was targeted in very specific ways too. Third down, red zone, and he came through. Right.
So yeah, I think people are underselling Jennings, and obviously you started talking about Ray McCloud. I think Vish was one of the first guys on him, using him as a wide receiver.
Barry Baller 18.
Yeah.
He had it, just like Arden Key. I just want to say real quick what I saw from him. He looks good. He looks like a legit slot receiver, not just a gadget guy.
Yeah.
And, he had a lot of targets last year in Pittsburgh. He played with Josh Allen. I think what I saw is a guy who's very confident in his hands and catch the ball away from his frame over the middle. So, he looks like he's probably going to be right there with Joe. He might get more targets than Jennings, but both of those guys, they seem like a really ideal slot tandem. One guy 6'3", one guy 5, whatever, 9, 7, 8.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice little combo.
And I think Gray is just they're gonna use him in Travis Benjamin role, just use him to take the top off the
exactly.
And whatever they get out of him is a bonus, is a plus. If he develops into something more, then it's a plus. So
I think he was the 17th or 18th wide receiver drafted. You can't have super high expectations, but I do think he should be better than Travis Benjamin right away. I do, seriously. And Travis Benjamin would get targets. Big time down the field targets on shot plays. They would call shot plays for Travis Benjamin. Crazy. Sorry, Travis. But it was like, you really wanted it for him? Yeah, I think they're going to do stuff like that for Danny Gray. But real quick, I think that little trio of Danny Gray, Javon Jennings, Ray Ray-McCloud, they can all be the number 3 guy in different situations. They're correct. They all complement each other. It's a nice, it's a nice two nice additions to Javon Jennings. But what really quick, what I wanted to say was, I'm watching Jennings. He did play well, but he started outside last week because Debo's not there. So he went up against Trevarius Ward early on. I don't know what what you would expect, but Trevarius Ward handled that. So Jennings is really at his best in the slot as which is cool though. He's getting some opportunities outside. It's not like he's exactly built for that.
But he also, how many other teams have that corner?
There's only one Trevarius Ward in our hearts and in our
when you look so let's look in the division, right? You've got Jalen Ramsey, obviously he's the best corner in football, but he's not going to be on. He's going to be on Debo, right?
So, no, you're right. Yeah.
I
just think it was interesting in practice. Like basically, what the secondary forced Trey to do was he didn't test the corners very much. He looked at Mosley and Ward was like, I'm going to check down the running backs, tight ends, and when I get the opportunity, I'm going to hit the dig over the middle. He hit the dig over the middle 6 times. And the guy he hit, twice to Ray, twice to Dwelly. I can't make this stuff up. I'm just reporting what happened.
And that's what he should be doing. They shouldn't be forcing it people kill Aaron Rodgers, but that's what he makes a living off of.
That's right. And look, I think if Lance felt he had a matchup advantage outside, he'd be attacking it. I've seen him throw outside a lot. But on this day, he was like, no Debo. Dwelly's open. And those were big throws. He hit Dwelly for 2 15-yard gains. He hit Ray for 2 15-yard gains. And Ray, it was just 7-on-7s, but caught the ball away from his frame, in stride, exploded through. It looked honestly, he was the best offensive player on the field.
It's funny that you mention that because it still boggles. Like, I don't get why can't Dwelly just be split out or play the slot sometimes? Like,
I don't know. I don't understand. But another thing, I'm just going on tangents here. Another thing I like about Trey Lance so far is that he definitely spreads the ball around. He's not like, I mean, Mullins would lock in, Jimmy would lock in. Lance makes a point of throwing the ball. I mean, at least in practice, he spreads the ball around. And if you go back and watch it look at the box score from the Houston start. He hit a bunch of different receivers in that game, which is nice. It's a nice thing to do. It's generous.
Right. But I think the key is really, I think he's just hitting the open guy, right?
That you want to do that. That's important.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what he's hitting the open guy. Like, and especially at this stage, right, where it's in camp, like that's what you want to get used to doing. Like, there's not you shouldn't be trying to force balls to anybody at this point.
Yep. I think what we saw a lot to wrap this topic up with Jennings, he went off last year, but he was a fourth option on a team where the top three options are Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk. So there were times where Jennings was wide freaking open because teams were so freaked out about stopping the other guys. And like he had like uncontested touchdown catches. And I think what we're going to see is Danny Gray and Ray McLeod benefit from the same type of phenomenon. Like when you're worried about how do I stop Debo and Kittle and Ayuk, it's like, Ray McLeod end around for 30 yards. That's tough. I think each of these guys are really good fourth options in an offense. And then you got the running backs that I haven't even mentioned.
And then obviously the deep ball. I mean, I know like you mentioned Kittle. I think last year, Kittle's shown he can be a red zone threat. Now you're talking about a guy that really can fit it in there for him. You can throw it up and let him high point it, which Kittle has shown he can do. I mean,
absolutely, he has shown he can do it. He made a lot of those catches last year.
Yeah, didn't he do it? He did it. He did it with Lance on the third down, right?
Oh, yep, absolutely. Bryant, thank you for resubscribing, Rook. I just wanted to say that.
You know who else? You don't know who else who can high point the ball?
Ross.
Yeah.
Apparently Ray, even though he's not that big. Also Jawan, of course. Ayuk for sure. Even Debo, even though he doesn't have the longest arms.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone on the team. I mean, Travis Benjamin's not here anymore. I don't know about Danny Gray. Well, we'll have to see about that. I'm curious on that one. But I was impressed with Ray because I haven't seen much of him, and he looked more like a complete receiver than I was expecting.
I mean, if you've got two names as a first name, you're probably pretty good.
Also, if you spent a couple of years with the Steelers, you have their blessing as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. He looks like he was – I don't know who their wide receiver coach is. I could look it up, but he's clearly excellent. The nickel position on defense. Is this a concern? Because right now, the Niners are trying to act like losing K'Wan Williams, who they always hyped up, and replacing him with Darqueze Dennard, who started like maybe one game at nickel in his career, is going to be the money move. I'm open-minded, but do you think it's a concern?
It's definitely a concern. I mean, I would think you would have, if you're Darqueze Dennard, you would have a backup to that, like just in case Darqueze Dennard fails. Like your solution should be Emmanuel Mosley or a rookie from last year who didn't really play in the slot. Like you should have maybe a guy that's played it before. And maybe there's a guy out there in free agency that they know that's going to be there. They're like, all right, if this is not working out, we'll just go sign this guy.
K1? I'm saying, like, they liked him last year. I always thought K1 was actually good. He forces turnovers.
Yeah.
He had a pick in the championship game, right?
He did. Did he
tip it?
Who was the corner, and is he still out there? The corner that the previous year he was on Seattle's roster and he played nickel, and then I think he tore his Achilles or something like that with them. And he played in the nickel pretty well. He was on like Seattle's. They got him over from Seattle. I can't remember the name of the guy, but I wonder if he's out there because he played the nickel. It was in Salas last year. He played the nickel pretty well before he got hurt.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember him. Yeah, but he tore his Achilles probably 30.
Yeah.
Look, it seems to me like the Niners, they're saying Dennard's the starter. That just means he's the vet. He's the oldest guy in the room, and he may have started one game there. So let's hope that one of our young guys overtakes him. And I just don't see why they would have any confidence in Diamador, because it seems like his stock started up here and then just tanked as the season went on, as opposed to Talanoa, who they showed consistent confidence in. Not Diamador. I think they're kind of hoping that their 5th round pick steps up and takes his job, which is a lot to hope from a 5th round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he necessarily fits the profile there, but Darquez does. I mean, he's a big corner. He's like 205 pounds. He's a safe kind of safety frame. I didn't realize this, but he's a 1st round draft pick.
Oh yeah, Michigan State, 2013, right? Him and Justin Gilbert.
Yeah,
top 2.
Michigan State. So I mean,
one of the guys who went.
It's not unheard of, like where a guy would learn, started out, he's got some talent, play outside, and then all of a sudden he starts transitioning into the nickel role and maybe find some success there. Go ahead.
Like, wouldn't if you were the general manager of a team in the division of the Rams, wouldn't you want like a really good nickelback? I mean, you definitely got to face Cooper Kupp at least twice a year, and he destroyed everyone last year. But I mean, the Denard is going to, nothing against Denard, but I mean, that's a question for John Lynch. Like, why is that I'm just saying I would prioritize. This would be a position of priority. This is a starting position against the Rams.
What you could potentially do if your nickelback is weak, right? If they're weaker than last year, they definitely strengthened their outside, right?
No doubt.
So what you could do is give help to your nickel and as opposed to giving help to your outside, let your outside guys play.
True.
And let your linebackers, let your safeties help on the nickel, or help with the nickel.
Or you could just move Mosley in there. I mean, if you want to get your 11 best players on the field, probably, I don't know if you can do it. They should at least see it. They should at least try it in practice.
Yeah.
Like in there.
You could do it on passing downs. The problem is on downs where there's a threat of the run. That's where the problem lies, because you have to be in that nickel position, especially where the way the 49ers play. He's got to be able to play that B gap sometimes when the bubble is on his side. And if you're a light, you're not going to be able to do that.
No, you're saying I couldn't fill the B gap. Wow. Where's the loyalty? Okay, that's fine.
Out the window.
No, you're right. Like, the guy they have in the nickel also is undrafted free agent Quantrez Knight, who looks like a safety. Looks really built. So, I don't know.
Where's he from?
Though, you're probably going to want your best 3 corners are probably him, Ward, and Ambry if Jason Verrett isn't healthy.
Quantrez Knight, where's he from?
UCLA.
Oh yeah.
Chip Kelly. How he was rallying the troops on the sideline against Stanford. I was there. Now, and we won. We mostly because of Coach, but I helped. All right, this is an interesting one to me. Do you think the 49ers are scapegoating Jaquiski Tartt for losing the NFC Championship? Now, let me make the case, because I think they are.
Yeah.
They never considered bringing him back, and I don't think they will. Now, I know they like Talanoa Hufanga, but here's my evidence in support for the fact that they're not bringing him back. The fact. My hunch. They gave his number away fast. Number 3, that's Ray Ray's number now. They gave his number to a player that's got guaranteed money, and he's definitely making the team. So to me, they're like, goodbye, Jaquiski. And like, why would they turn on him so quickly? I mean, they wanted to transition to Talanoa last year, but couldn't because they kept feeling like Tartt gave him a better chance to win. But I think the way that season ended, I mean, there's no guarantee they would have gone to the Super Bowl if he had just caught that layup of a interception that he dropped, but they might have. It really would have changed things, and he dropped it, and probably any other DB on the team would have caught it. And I think that, or maybe not, but in their mind, I think they feel like, you know what? Can't even look at you anymore. Get out of here. Give us your jersey. Give us your jersey number. It's over. Do you think I'm wrong? Because that's the way I look at it.
Yes and no, right? Like, I don't think they're scapegoating him for the loss for the Super Bowl, but I do think it's been on their mind to transition away from him for a while. Like, right? They barely brought him back last year. They brought him back on Didn't they pay him like $1,000 last year or something like that? Like,
Yeah, I see. They did sign him late. That's a good point. They did.
yeah, they signed him late on a super cheap deal. I never thought they would get him on that kind of deal, and they brought him back. You know, we all know they have they have a love for Talanoa Hufanga, and so I think, in my opinion, I think they probably did not want to bring Jaquiski back because they wanted the clearest path for Hufanga to start, and they've been ready to move off of him for like 2 years now. So again, I think you're right on. You're right on with they don't have a desire to bring, and I doubt they'd have to lose to go down through their safeties, and Jaquiski would be still out there like in the middle of the season, and then they might consider signing him. But I don't think the number thing is a big deal. Let me tell you, as a high school coach, you know how quick those single digits go. Like them MFers are like hotcakes, man. Like those kids will fight over those things.
All I'm saying is K'Wan Williams had 24, which is a pretty good. And I have some famous 24s in the history of sport. Charles Woodson was 24.
Yeah, but that's because they didn't allow single digits.
I'm just saying. Still, it's a prestigious number. They gave it to Kadar Holman, who, no offense, probably isn't gonna make the team. 24 is gonna be available week 1 if K'Wan Williams is needed. The door is open for K'Wan to come back. But Tartt, if he were to come back, you'd have to have some whole. You can't have 29 because that's Talanoa. You can't have 3. That's Ray Ray. I don't think he's coming back, man. I think
could he have 10?
John Lynch at safety than Jaquiski Tartt at this point.
Do you think he wants 10? So he's waiting for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Maybe. Can he wear 10? I think that's off. He could be 9.
No, it's gotta be single digits or in the 20s or in the 20s to 20 to 40s.
Definitely 10's out. Sorry. I really think that they were like they gave away that number as fast as possible. I think there's something about it. They won't say it, but I think they feel like, man, you should have caught that. Should have caught that ball. If you had caught the ball, we probably would have gone to the Super Bowl. Maybe they're wrong. I don't know. It feels a little wrong. Actually, it's not fair to Jaquiski.
No,
he played well that year.
He did.
Should have caught it, but it wasn't his fault.
And I would say you knew what Jaquiski was when you brought him. Like, you know what he was. You know what he does well. You know what he doesn't do well. And for what he did what he does well, he did really well for you, right? Like,
yeah. And
I think that drop is only amplified because they couldn't score touchdowns. They couldn't.
All I'm saying is I didn't know what Ray Ray's number was. I went to OTAs last week. I saw him run by me. He had number 3, and my first thought was, "Damn, that's cold. That's cold." What did Jaquiski Tartt do to get the door closed on him? Because I was thinking maybe they might bring him back. You know what I'm saying? They might bring him back, maybe.
It's kind of crazy that he doesn't have a job at all. Like,
kind of crazy he doesn't have a job at all.
Like,
what happened?
He's definitely a starting safety in this.
He played reasonably well last year.
Right.
He was a net positive on the defense last year. No question.
Absolutely. Like, you can't look around the league and be like, oh, well, there's not a starting safety position that he could play.
Hold on. Let me real quick. 49ers signed Tartt 2021. When did they sign him last year?
I thought it was before. It was definitely before camp.
Yeah, if someone could find that out, I'd like to know because he might have been a free agent at this time.
I didn't know K'Wan Williams was still out there.
Is he? Is he not?
I thought he signed somewhere. Didn't he sign with like the Broncos or something?
Did he sign with the Broncos? Oh, wow. Just forget everything I just said. K'Wan Williams, huh?
He's on the Broncos, right?
The Broncos. Whoops. Dang, the Broncos took K'Wan Williams, Tom Compton, DJ Jones. That's crazy.
You had me at Tom Compton.
Man, should we go back and talk about the nickel position again? Oops. Wow, K'Wan's on the Broncos, huh? Wow.
Who'd they give Compton's jersey to?
What was Compton's number again?
Was it like 66? Maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. I think they wow. Man, K'Wan's gone. I didn't even realize that. They got a problem. Do you see Hufanga being better than Whitner or Goldson?
No, I mean, I have not been a Hufanga touter. I haven't. Now I guess he looks.
Olsen hit harder than most than he hits super freaking hard. I don't know
Yeah.
if those two hit really hard. I haven't seen Hufanga hit like that. I don't know if you're even allowed to hit like that anymore. Those guys hit super hard.
I mean,
So
Whitner played really well for the Niners when he was there.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he was a bust in Buffalo, a first-round pick who was like 5'10" and ran a 4.3, but he was not particularly great in man-to-man coverage. Here, they had him playing like
quarters
and stuff, and they had Patrick Willis in man-to-man coverage, and Whitner was terrific at that role. Really, really good.
So I personally am not. I don't see Hufanga being better than either of those two, but who knows? I mean, been wrong before, so.
49ersfaithful.org, $5. Thank you very much. Man, the K1 thing just blew me. How did I not know that? How did I forget that? Of course he got signed. He's good. Tartt's the one who's a free agent. That's strange. Man.
He's got to be on a roster, but when
so Jimmy Garoppolo being on the roster cost the 49ers a starting nickelback and a starting left guard, although Aaron Banks might be good. Okay. All right, we'll see what they got.
I mean, you could look at it. You could look at it a lot of different ways. You could look at it like, could they have signed a center and just be like, all right, Mac, if you want to just retire, like we're good.
Also, if they had gotten rid of Jimmy, they could have signed someone like Tyrod Taylor to be a backup,
and still had money left over.
Yeah, there is that. They could have had Tartt, although apparently anyone could have Tartt at this point. Okay, last topic. Javon Kinlaw. Let's say he's healthy this year, the whole year. What would that mean to the 49ers?
I think if he's healthy, they could have the best defensive line in football if he's healthy. I think it was interesting because I started to look back at his college stats, right? Because I remember back in college, I felt like he was a good pass rusher in college, and he. I know people throw PFF ratings out there when it suits their needs. It suits my need right now. So he did have a high pass rush rating from PFF, and generally their grades do actually pan out from college prospect to pro prospect. And the one thing that he did do, I believe if I remember right, if you look at his college stats, he did deflect the ball.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He had 10 sacks in college and 8 pass breakups, and that carried over to the NFL too. Like his rookie year, he had 4 pass breakups and 1.5 sacks. Even if he's not getting the quarterback, he had a pick 6.
He did.
He's actually really good at reading the quarterback and better than Buckner and Armstead, who are taller than him.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and I think like when you're looking at a sack total, like I don't think you're gonna look at. I mean, even Buckner, right? Buckner is not close to like Aaron Donald numbers. Like Aaron Donald's just a different animal. So I think if Javon got like 7, if you got like 6 sacks out of him, that's pretty good for an interior guy. And then obviously, what he can do in the run game certainly helps. And another thing, I think if you talk to offensive linemen and ask them what gives you more trouble, power or speed, I think the majority of them are going to tell you power. In fact, on vacation, I actually ran into a collegiate offensive lineman. It's fun. I was at a resort, and I was all the people I were running into were like Canadians and all. I'm like, oh, here's a 6'5" black guy with a football T-shirt on. I know this guy's American. No, he was Canadian, but he played American sport. But I talked to him for a little bit, and he said he was an offensive tackle, and he said power give him more problems, and that's what Kinlaw has.
Yeah, it's interesting with him. He's like, if he's healthy, I don't know how much he's been healthy since college, but I'm looking back at his game log, and he wasn't a productive pass rusher his first 2 years, but then his last year, 2019, he legitimately had 4 sacks in his first 4 games and 5 sacks in his first 6 games. So maybe he was fully healthy at that point, and he was a productive pass rusher. He didn't really. He kind of tailed off and didn't. He only had one sack the final 6 games. But maybe he got hurt. I mean, I don't know what his story is with his knee. I know he had full ACL reconstruction this offseason. So if he's like 100% healthy, maybe there is like a pass rusher there. I wonder. I feel like with him, like it's gonna matter how healthy he is this offseason, because I still think he needs some refinement in terms of technique. I could be wrong, but I've seen him in one-on-ones, and he really struggled with Laken Tomlinson. So I think if he could be healthy all offseason and just go through the one-on-ones, practice, learn, improve, and stay healthy, yeah, he might be able to be really freaking good.
But I think he could.
I want to see how long he can be healthy consistently for. Because what I've seen the past from him is he'll have a week where he practices, and then a week where he's like kind of half going, half not practicing. And it's hard to improve when your body won't let you consistently be out there, right?
Right. He's got to be able to consistently be out there for the most part in practice, but then also playing games, right? Because even he did fight through and play some games, and he didn't practice. But I don't think. But then he wasn't available
if I remember correctly, he was out there all of his rookie offseason.
Yeah.
Now that there was no OTAs and stuff then, but there was training camp. He was out there. He was doing the one-on-ones. He played most of his rookie year. He was good against the run, very good against the run. It's just for where he was drafted and who he got traded for, got to be a pass rusher.
And the other thing, I think, if you look back at his college, like he played at South Carolina. It's not like he played at Alabama, I think, where they had like 20, 25 million guys. Like, so when you're a defensive lineman, you play at Alabama, you're getting one-on-ones pretty much down the line because the next guy over is as good as you, or maybe he might be better.
Right. That's true. Same thing at Ohio State, right? It's hard to double team people because everyone's great.
Yeah.
Everyone's 5-star.
It's not like South Carolina. South Carolina didn't have a bunch of Javon Kinlaws on the line. It was like, hey, this guy's their best player. We need to stop this guy. Right. So he had everyone keyed on him, and he played in the SEC. So like for him to do all of that, it really does say something on the South Carolina team. So I think if he's healthy, he can help the 49ers really. They might have the best defensive line in football if he's healthy and is able to progress. Because I think, in my personal opinion, I think that kind of what you said is what's been preventing him is he's needed to be able to learn the NFL game, and he's not been able to learn because he hasn't been out there enough.
Right. No, if he's healthy this year, he immediately improves the run defense because DJ Jones leaving and now turning. I don't know who the starting. I mean, he's the starting nose tackle. So if he's not healthy, then the starting nose tackle is Kevin Givens, Hassan Ridgeway. The run defense could be an issue. If he's out there, the run defense should not be an issue. I just want to know what kind of a pass rush is he going to be, because I feel like, again, what I saw his rookie year was a guy who had been used to bullying offensive linemen his whole life, and he's no way he's going to bully Laken Tomlinson. He might be able to bully Aaron Banks. We'll see. He might be. He might be able to bully Daniel Brunskill. I think he might. But there's always going to be these teams with someone like Laken Tomlinson or better. And does he have the finesse, really, the wiggle, the hand usage, the skill to beat that guy?
Didn't he go at it with Alex Mack last year, if I remember right? Was it him? It was Alex Mack went at it with a defensive lineman, I think, fairly early in camp.
Training camp?
I think so. It didn't get out right. It didn't go out to like a full blown fight or anything, but like I think they had some words, and
that sounds right. I'm sure a bunch of people wrote about it. I'm sure you could search it. Yeah.
But I've expected a big year for Kinlaw and this defensive line. So
I'm in no position to predict about Kinlaw's knee. I don't know. I'm hoping.
I don't know either, but I'm since I've been on the Kinlaw, from the beginning. Yeah. So I'm gonna ride it until he proves me wrong. So
I know what I want to see from him in training camp. I mean, he doesn't need to be playing right now. He just needs to get healthy and be ready for training camp. That's what I want to see. I'll let you know if I see it. I mean, he should be able to beat Aaron Banks in those one-on-one drills. I expect he will. And that doesn't even prove that much, frankly. Although Aaron Banks might be a baller now. Who knows? We'll see. But I think Kinlaw's way bigger than Aaron. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious.
It also gives the 49ers two humongous interior linemen in Armstead and Kinlaw.
And when Kinlaw was playing before Armstead was outside, I don't think they've really done this that much together. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're keeping Armstead inside.
I think so. I haven't seen him play outside yet.
Okay.
The Jedi says, I find it funny when you say something about a player, everyone has to give their take. Trey Lance gets criticized by the media and journalists. Quiet.
Yeah.
I know, right?
With Trey coming in, like if you're a quarterback, you have to really expect to be criticized and put everything and just get drilled by the media. It's going to happen it happens on every team. Like even the 49ers have certain expectations and a certain legacy with their quarterbacks, but like look at other teams, their quarterbacks are getting it too.
Marcano Ray says Debo went to South Carolina and so did Kinlaw. Confirmed. He looked it up. Confirmed. Did Debo send Kinlaw to send Grant a message? ? Oh man. Now we're getting into fan fiction. I don't know.
No. Grant has been supporting Debo from the jump. I mean, he's been telling the Niners to pay Debo and all of that. I mean, the only thing that Debo doesn't like is that Grant called him out saying that there is a situation when Debo said there's not, but was really posting about it. But
I don't know. It's been a wild off season. I'm not trying to make myself the center of everything. I'm not trying to make myself the story. I was just going to go and write the good and the not so good and leave. That's what I'm planning on doing tomorrow. Can I make it out of there without becoming a national story? I hope. Please.
Are you going to wear the hat?
And say who did good and who did not so good, and then ask a few questions about who's in the best shape of their life and why, and go home and have dinner with my wife. That's my plan for tomorrow. Let's see if I can make that happen. Last week I failed. Miserably. So we'll see. Quiet Wednesday.
Are you going to wear the hat?
No, because I'm no longer rough nor ready. Okay? It's over. I've been traumatized. That hat has bad no. I think I gave off the wrong vibe. I'm not rough and ready.
You should give it to Javon Kinlaw.
Oh man. One day, hopefully I will. If we're cool. But not now. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be in Santa Clara tomorrow. We're going to see more Trey Lance without Debo and Kittle. That kind of ups the degree of difficulty. Now there's no Bosa and Fred. Well, it'll be interesting. It's going to be the Ray McLeod show, as we all know. Ray and his teammates practicing tomorrow. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. As Chris Rock would say, just before getting slapped in the face. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I will see you later. Oh, wait, hold on.
Whoa.
Has anyone in the Niners organization ever threatened to revoke your press pass? Yes, but a long time ago. Not John Lynch, not the current PR director, but a long time ago, 10 years ago, over the Anthony Davis thing. And they were unsuccessful, by the way. Unsuccessful. What's for dinner? Man, that's none of your business. I don't even know. I'll have to ask. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm gonna make Rat Bastard t-shirts. Don't worry. I'm gonna make Rat Bastard t-shirts. Don't you worry. Thank you, Pat McAfee. I forgot his name.